found out my family planned to cut me out of my father's inheritance while I was sitting at the same dinner table. They didn't know I could hear them. It had been exactly 1 week since my dad's funeral. The house still smelled like food no one was really hungry for, and grief hung in the air like background noise. Everyone was talking, but no one was really saying anything meaningful. After dinner, I stepped into the hallway to take a call from work. I didn't even answer it. I just needed a moment to breathe. That's when I heard my name. My uncle spoke first. His voice was low calm, like he was discussing groceries. She doesn't need to know. She's doing fine on her own. My mom replied quietly, but firmly. It's not about need. It's about fairness. My aunt laughed under her breath. She moved away years ago. She barely comes around. She be fine. I stood there, frozen, my phone still in my hand. They were talking about me. My parents were never rich, but my dad worked hard his entire life. He owned a small house, had some savings, and a retirement account. Nothing extravagant, just enough that suddenly everyone cared. I didn't walk in. I didn't confront them. I listened. They talked about paperwork, about how my name could be dealt with later, about how I probably wouldn't want the stress of handling legal things anyway. I felt my chest tighten. That night, I barely slept. Every memory of my dad felt tangled with the realization that people I trusted were already planning what to do with what he left behind. The next morning, I asked my mom directly. I didn't accuse her. I didn't raise my voice. I said, "Is there something I should know about Dad's will?" She avoided my eyes. That silence was louder than any answer. She eventually admitted there was no clear will. My dad had always said he'd get around to it, and then life happened. She said the family was just trying to make things easier while everyone was grieving. I asked, easier for who? She didn't respond. Over the next few days, things felt totally different. Documents were moved when I entered the room. Phone calls ended abruptly. Relatives suddenly became overly friendly, asking how I was doing in voices that didn't quite match their eyes. That's when I realized this wasn't confusion. It was a plan, and I was not part of it. I've always been the quiet one in my family, the one who moved away, built her own life, and didn't ask for much. I think they assumed I wouldn't fight back. They were wrong. I called a lawyer. I felt guilty dialing the number, like I was doing something wrong, like I was betraying my own family. But I also felt something else, clarity. I gathered every document I could find, old bank statements, property records, and notes my dad had written over the years, birthday cards where he mentioned taking care of his girls someday. The lawyer listened carefully. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she said, "You should have been informed sooner." That sentence hit harder than I expected. That's a big mood. But it hurts. When my family found out I'd contacted a lawyer, everything changed overnight. My uncle called me selfish. My aunt said I was tearing the family apart. My cousin accused me of turning grief into a lawsuit. No one asked how I was holding up. No one asked how I was sleeping. Suddenly, my grief had an expiration date. My mom cried and told me, "Your father wouldn't have wanted this." For a moment, I almost believed her. Then I remembered my dad teaching me to stand up for myself. Teaching me that being quiet didn't mean being invisible. Teaching me that fairness mattered, even when it was uncomfortable. The process took months. Holidays were tense. Family gatherings were quiet. Group chats went silent whenever I spoke. Every conversation felt like walking on broken glass. Eventually, everything was divided legally, fairly. No one apologized. They just moved on, as if nothing had happened. Now, family dinners are shorter, polite, distant, the kind of polite you use with coworkers, not people who watched you grow up. Sometimes I wonder if it was worth it. Then I remember standing in that hallway, listening to them erase me from the conversation before I ever spoke. And I realized the money was never the point. It was the betrayal. So now I'm asking, was I wrong for protecting myself? Or were they wrong for deciding I didn't matter? What would you have done?